Hi everyone, thank you for joining. I'm Carrie Jacquet, VP of Marketing at Sensage, and I'm here today with Joe Gottlieb, the President and CEO of Sensage, and we're going to do another 5 minutes with Joe. Today we're going to talk a little bit about the ongoing hacktivism that we're seeing and Joe's theory on where this could be leading to if, if not stopped in its tracks. So what are some of the current items that are creating interest for you around hacktivism?
Well, we have a local story that's actually developed into a much broader story, national, even international, and that is Bay Area Rapid Transit, the BART system here in the San Francisco Bay Area, has gotten into basically an escalation with Anonymous or some group that's been hacktivist active with them. It started out with a shooting that happened in the BART system from a BART cop, and there was a protest against this shooting, and that BART cop should be disbanded or discredited. And then, in response, BART started suspending cell phone service in the tunnels, in the BART system, to try to disrupt some other protests that were scheduled. And then, of course, in response to that, they started hacking into more and more websites. What this is really precipitated into now is a little bit of a war between BART and these hacktivist groups, which is clearly not good for BART customers, clearly not good for the BART brand, and some of their sort of responses that they're getting drug into are even impacting the quality of experience for other BART customers. So
right.
Obviously an ugly thing. But the theory that I'm developing now over this, and I don't know if that is a unique theory, I'm just throwing it out there, but that hacktivism is going to become an instrument that can be rented and can be aimed by anyone who wants to discredit or call out a target, and it could be used by a competitor to bring down another, to bring down a company that it wants to point out some weaknesses or some issues that it has.
It's a shielded approach to getting what you ultimately want.
So what I started to think about was the fact that these hacktivists aren't the only ones with ideas and opinions about what they want to bring down or call attention to. It is a brand of investigative journalism, but at the end of the day, this is a specialized capability to go hack this stuff. It's very sophisticated, and increasingly I believe it'll actually be rented by those that are driving a specific mission or a specific target. So that's something to look out for. I think what that could lead to is another form of cybercrime. In this case, and it's a more organized form of almost ironically, the original security hacks that were happening, which were just people, trying to deface things to sort of be able to brag that they were able to
paid protesting has not been, I mean, that's definitely something that's real. You can go to Berkeley and get a job standing on a corner holding a sign and saying that you protest something. They need bodies, they need people to claim a message. So
not new in culture and society, but perhaps newer to the cyber domain. So that's something. Another one that's coming up here is that these guys have now identified Facebook and have basically called out that they're going to bring down Facebook on November 5th because of privacy practices. I suppose their beef is that Facebook doesn't give enough granularity and transparency to end users of their privacy policies. That's the claim, at least, that's been circulated. And so here's an example. Facebook has become a very powerful, very successful organization and web property. Obviously, who knows? Who knows if it's the hacktivists themselves or someone running the hacktivists that are after Facebook. So we'll see how that develops. And I'm wondering, in the long run, will political candidates even be tempted to utilize this available service to discredit their opponents in political campaigns? They certainly use the commercial video industry, and they take out ads and all to do, what are they called? What are those campaigns called?
The
smear campaigns.
The smutty, smeary campaigns.
Yeah. So I suspect we may see that in the cyber domain as well as we enter a new political season for campaigning.
Which is why I think, going back to sort of the Sensage message, it's around making sure that you can, first of all, protect yourself against these attacks, but also to prove that you're not involved in those, right? So I think there's going to come a point where people are going to have to say, show us your event data and prove that you weren't part of this, attack and you weren't part of this contrived thing against your competitor or against your running mate.
I think that's one thing, one piece of diligence people should engage in. Another one would be just in general to keep monitoring their activities and to start thinking about, okay, something that may develop as a PR situation for your company is going to require you to stay much more vigilant about what could what it could erupt into, right? In terms of an attack, in terms of a spear phishing attack that might be in response to something that's going on that involves the external PR of your company. So that's just another way to start thinking about this as another threat vector, another source of attack, of threat, to be mindful of and to keep monitoring. Just like you would insider threats. You're concerned about employees that are disgruntled. We now have hacktivists that could be disgruntled with your company, and they may be being steered monetarily by those that have a bone
something
to pick with you,
yeah,
or something to gain by your competitive disadvantage.
Yep, that's a good point. Anything else on that topic? Because I just have one burning question. So you talked a little bit about the presidential campaign and how this could play a role in that. Do you think that's why Sarah Palin was at Black Hat? I don't really think she was a Black Hat.
Interesting question. Good rumors, Shark. She shows up a Black Hat. Yes, maybe that's her next. They call her very not just media savvy, but mediagenic.
Yes,
that's the next iteration.
She's cybergenic.
Yikes.
Okay, well, thank you so much. Thank you, and we'll be back again with another 5 Minutes with Joe. That might have actually been 5 minutes.
Right on.